Well, it was definitely a big night for Hollywood at the 81st Golden Globe Awards, hosted by comedian and actor Joe Coy. Some surprises, some not so surprising, but overall an interesting award show.
That's right. Our friend and Morning Mix contributor, entertainment journalist, and movie critic Neil Pond joins us again this morning to take a look back at last night's event. Late night for you, Neil. How are you?
I'm well, thank you, and good morning. And yes, you know, they did stretch it out until the full 3 hours. So it on the Central Time and East Coast, it was kind of late.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about before.
Yes.
Yeah, when you're walking the red carpet at what time? Yeah,
Yeah, 8 o'clock our time, maybe. Yeah.
So a lot to recap from last night's 81st Golden Globes. But before we get started, let's talk a little bit about the fact that the show, this has always been done by the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. That is now disbanded. There's a little bit of flack about that. So what was that about, and how's that going to affect the Globes from this point on?
Well, the Golden Globe Awards have been around for decades, but they've been rocked and socked by controversy time and time again. Just about every kind of ism has been labeled at it: sexism, racism, lack of diversity. They were taken off the air a couple of times, booted from one network to another one. It's been a kind of rough road. They have been accused of being too cozy with the industry, sort of pay for play, even graft among some of the studios. So the organization had to really step back and say, we're going to clean up our act. And last night was sort of the manifestation of that. It's a new organization. The Hollywood Press Association has been disbanded. The Globes still represent a really diverse array of critics from around the world, people who write about movies professionally. And that's kind of the hallmark of what makes the Globes different from other awards organizations.
And speaking of the Globes last night, let's just get right into it. We have to start with the host, comedian Joe Coy, hosting after just a few days of being asked to do this, right? 10 days before. Yeah. Overall, how do you think he did?
It's a pretty thankless job getting up in front of a room full of Hollywood A-listers. And I felt some sympathy for Joe because I think he was a bit out of his element. He's a stand-up comedian, a fairly successful one, but it's a tough crowd. And, you know, stand-up comedians are going to throw some zingers here and there. And those zingers did not land well with that audience. And he was kind of struggling, and you saw less and less of him as the night went on. And it really sort of supported the idea that, as the awards have done before, they really don't need a host. They can stand without an MC, basically. But I thought Joe did what he did, and it just wasn't working.
Right. Yeah. He pretty much got thrown to the wolves. There were a couple of zingers.
Yep.
But
the one everyone's talking about is Taylor Swift right now, because it cuts to her immediately, and she's just not saying anything as she drinks her water, right? Yeah. When he makes that NFL reference.
If looks could kill,
yes,
you know, and that's fine.
There'd be a dead man on the stage. Yeah. All right. Speaking of stand-up, there were two new categories included on the awards. There was stand-up, which is the first time included in the Golden Globes. There was also Cinematic and Box Office Achievement Award, and Ricky Gervais won stand-up. Barbie won the other one, respectively. So now for the Box Office and Achievement, isn't that similar to the Best Picture nomination?
Not necessarily. I think voters are looking at the Best Picture as a cinematic achievement. It's not necessarily a commercial juggernaut. For instance, when Nomadland took a lot of awards from the Oscars, that wasn't a big box office picture.
Right.
This new award from the Golden Globes really purports to award a movie that really got people in the seats at theaters this year. What really made the box office tick and got people excited about movies again. And that movie was Barbie.
Very true. Very true. The number of people dressed up in pink.
Oh my goodness.
throughout the year.
Yeah, and let's not forget here, let's talk about this. Movie selections, Best Supporting Actor Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer. I know a lot of people were talking about Oppenheimer and Barbie because they were two of the most grossing films for 2023.
Barbenheimer, I believe it was called.
Barbenheimer.
Yes.
Yes, Barbenheimer. Were you surprised with Robert Downey Jr. winning this title?
No, not really. He's a very well-liked actor. Pretty much everyone in Hollywood feels that way about him. He's been supportive of other people. And I believe moviegoers were happy to see him out of the Iron Man suit. They were happy to see him doing a dramatic role. And he really nailed it in Oppenheimer. It might have been a career high acting performance for him. And I think his award last night sort of put the accent on that.
And now we go from supporting actor to supporting actress. Davine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers, and her co-star Paul Giamatti also got Best Actor. You saw a couple of combined awards for a number of these movies. Was that a surprise to you?
I don't think The Holdovers was a surprise. She was particularly good in that movie. She took what could have been a supporting part and became central to the story of it. Paul Giamatti, again, a really beloved actor, a veteran who has made some quite memorable performances, and this one really resonated with a lot of people, playing a curmudgeonly teacher, having to babysit some students over a winter break. It made all of us sort of remember the years of our lives when we had teachers that we might not have liked initially, but we came to really respect them and even like them later on.
I definitely want to check that one out.
I do too.
Yeah.
And especially Poor Things 2 with Emma Stone. I want to check that out as well. But overall, Neil, was there anything that surprised you the most? We're kind of running low on time, but I just want to ask that question really quick.
No, there weren't any real surprises. I thought the award show ran pretty smoothly. It's a big party. It's the kickoff to the award season. It's kind of the weather vane that points to how the wind is going to blow for the awards that come later, leading up to the Oscars. It was star-packed. Virtually every star was there in that room. And I just thought it looked good. Some of the presenters were really interesting and fun. And I thought the winners really were an indication of this is where we are with movies this year.
That's perfect. The one thing they need to improve on, getting to the stage. Did you see everybody just running around? There was no rhyme or reason to any of that. Neil, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Appreciate that for the recap here for the 81st Golden Globe Awards. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Always good to be with you.
Good to see you again.
We appreciate you. Maybe